Spiders are often considered very creepy crawlies, with many being scared at the mere sight of one of them. But some have come to see spiders as a good thing, hunting flies and other bugs that can lead to infestations. And one lost spider said to inhabit a cave in Colorado was so handy that if they were around, they could have changed the way that people see spiders as a whole. But what happened to them? Welcome to Cryptid Corner, the series of all things cryptids, and today we are going to look into the Chaffee spider. The Chaffee spider, also known as the Buena Vista spider, was, as its name implies, a very large species of spider that was said to inhabit a cave located near the town of Buena Vista in Chaffee County, Colorado. The only accounts of these spiders are from newspapers from quite a long time ago, including an issue of the Salida Mail from October 6, 1911, and an article in the Minneapolis Journal from May 4th, 1901. But these quoted a very sparse issue of the Family Herald of London, which itself is from 1887. According to the article, the spiders were quite large, with legs that were 4 inches in length, just the leg, and their bodies were the size of canaries, or about 4 to 5 inches in length. These spiders were discovered by pioneers in 1868 who were making their way to California, and assumedly the natives of the area would have known about them. And despite how terrifying these spiders may appear just by saying a canary-sized spider with 4-inch legs, they would grow quite fond of these spiders. Their webs were fine and durable, being used as a substitute for thread, although they were said to make a very loud buzzing sound while weaving their webs, so they could grow quite annoying. The spider's skin was very durable, such so that they could be quickly fashioned into gloves with no need of tanning. People were so fond of these spiders that they would bring them back to their houses as pets, being used as pest control even over cats, as unlike cats, these spiders could track the invasive mice into the walls of entry and would chase them through the walls and through the ceilings and such. The spiders were also said to guard their owners like a dog would, being said to look over them as they slept, very ominous-like. But the spiders weren't all harmless to humans, as in 1880, a man named Schultz is said to have wandered into the heart of the cave and disrupted the spider's den, where he would be devoured and left as a reminder not to enter further. The spiders would eventually vanish at some point before 1887, fleeing to the unreached lands that the pioneers have yet to claim, only remembered by the first generation of settlers who remembered them quite fondly. So, what is up with these giant spiders? I mean, they just are known to have inhabited a single cave in Colorado. They became a part of life to the pioneers. They ate a dude or two, and then they just vanished. If it's a question of if these spiders were real, I feel like they seem pretty plausible. Their size, although very large for a spider, isn't particularly unheard of, as native spiders such as the brown tarantula can reach about half the size of the Chaffee spiders, and spiders like the Goliath bird eater far outsize them. And although spider silk may seem very weak, it is actually far stronger than you may think, with a higher strength to weight ratio than steel. And although the process is far easier said than done, spider silk is made into thread. The buzzing sound also isn't too unspider-like, as spiders actually do make a hissing noise when provoked. You know, like when some dude from the 1860s comes and takes your webs and some of your family. The most unrealistic aspects of the spider accounts are, like the cat-like behavior, as you just like a household pet. You don't really keep spiders like that. But more importantly, the detail that they made fine gloves, as spider endoskeletons and molts tend to be very horrible for this when it comes to making clothing, especially gloves, which have to be pretty durable. These spiders would have to have had a very leathery and durable skin for this to work, and Because, despite how intimidating a giant spider might appear, they're actually very fragile, being easily damaged from falls or other impacts. Additionally, none of these gloves have been preserved or photographed or even depicted outside of these artworks. I feel spider gloves would have been pretty noteworthy. Despite this, though, it is highly likely that these spiders are made up. The articles are riddled with hints that the story is just a fabrication, with the Salada Mail article mentioning how much amusement the story has given the locals, making it some sort of a local humor creature like a fur-bearing trout or a jackalope. And one detail that may give away the Minneapolis Journal story that it could be a hoax was the name of the man who investigated the spiders, E.T. Lafton, which Lafton is a very legit name. However, if it would be pretty on the nose if it is a hoax. Back in the days of westward expansion, many of the pioneers and cowboys had created stories of wild creatures that they had encountered on the great frontier, which was widely unexplored and hid many mysteries waiting to be discovered. Many of these stories, such as that of the fearsome critters, are influenced by many natural phenomena in the region, but with way more wacky explanations and really prey on the naivety of the out of townsman. And going west, many probably did not enjoy stumbling across giant tarantulas who were known to search for mates en masse in the early falls in Colorado. So, to mess with the people's fear of spiders, they told tales of even larger spiders who actually weren't all that bad, although they had all moved out long ago. To any person not familiar with the region who heard about this before the mating season, they'd be especially surprised to see large spiders seemingly coming back to the land that they once called home. The story of Schultz could have also been a cautious reminder to be careful in abandoned caves and mine shafts, with it also being a very good spooky spider story to tell around the campfire. Additionally, I feel if these were real creatures, we would have heard many accounts from them from Native Americans, but seemingly I couldn't find any of such accounts. The story of the Chaffee spider is quite an obscure one, but one that I most certainly find worth in looking into nonetheless. A legend of a large, seemingly friendly spider that had seemingly gone missing long ago. I mean, how can that not interest you? It does seem likely that this story was made up, at least to an extent, inspired by Colorado's tarantula season in the fall and life on the frontier, while putting an interesting twist on how people view spiders. But with all that being said, it wouldn't be too surprising if there is a large species of cave dwelling tarantula waiting to be discovered. Let's just hope they don't pack up and leave once we find them again. And that's going to do it on the Chaffee spiders. This was a very interesting story that I could find not very much on, but I did felt that it still deserved its own video. I find it very interesting that this is kind of like a fearsome critter. It feels like a fearsome critter, but it also feels very plausible. Like the only thing that doesn't really seem right is the gloves. Because I mean, like, giant spiders, like, yeah, those exist. Friendly spiders, okay, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. Like everything's kind of a dog with how people like to pet everything and make everything a pet. It's just really interesting. And I could find next to nothing on these spiders. So the fact that I could probably draw attention to this legend would be very interesting. I hope more people learn about things like this, stories like this that are just so obscure. I could only find two articles on these spiders. So it was very interesting to look into. But I'd like to thank you all for watching. What do you think? Do you think that they were real? Do you think that these are fake? Do you think they're kind of half real, that this could be some sort of undiscovered spider, like some new tarantula or new type of wolf spider or something? What do you got to think about it? Also, what cryptids or videos would you like me to cover in the future? I always love reading the comments. I love the jokes. I love the ideas. I love all of that. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you like the video, leave a like. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe and be notified. If you're a real one, become a member. But outside of that, I got nothing to say to you. Goodbye and have a good one.